Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you who are new here, my name's Jackie. My readings flow in tarot, Western Whole House astrology, numerology. So when I mention houses in this reading, it's most specific to Sagittarius rising sign, because if we're talking about anything such as, like, for example, the full moon of Virgo on the 18th is happening in your 10th house because you're 10 houses away from Virgo, right? Follow? So you're still going to be feeling it even if you are tuning in for your sun sign and your moon sign, just not to the same extent. I recommend watching for your rising sign first, then sun and moon for the most complete messages. Remember, guys, these messages are general. They may or may not apply to your current situation at the time. It really does depend on what's aspecting your personal natal chart and the choices that you're making currently in your life. If you'd like to work with me privately, there is a link in the description box below that'll take you right to my booking site. And even though you're tuning in for Sagittarius, if you have a strong Pisces, either sun, moon, or rising sign, there's 25% off all of my services for the month of March. So if, for example, if you're a Sagittarius sun, you may be a Pisces rising, or you may be, a Sag rising, a Capricorn sun, but a Pisces moon. You would still be eligible to take advantage of that discount. If you want to check out the all of the current transits and how it might be impacting you, I have in the description box below astrology only for the month of March. And let's get into this. We're going to be doing 4 different spreads, first for career, money, and then we'll do 4 different for relationships. Those of you who are single, those of you in a complicated situation, and those of you who are single. So let's get into it. So like I mentioned, we do have that full moon in Virgo on the 18th in your 10th house of career, public reputation, your standing in the world, your long-term goals. I kind of want to just address it having to do with career or money first. This could have to do with a lawsuit, negotiations, anything that would in any way impact your money, even your marriage, right? 10th house could be your station of being understood as a married couple, right? Or married person. And so, finances would obviously impact that if things are challenging there, right? There could be financial issues within the marriage, or some of you might be dealing with financial issues regarding a divorce if you're in that space. Okay, so let's open up the Astro dice to give us some opening messages. So we have Aries, we have Moon, and we have 12th house. So Sagittarius, your 12th house is ruled by Pluto, and we also have this full moon Virgo is harmonizing the transiting Pluto energy that's happening in your 2nd house. So this Pluto energy is impacting both your 2nd and your 12th house. The 2nd house has to do with the money that you make from the work that you do, your self-esteem, your value system, and the 12th house, which rules that, which Pluto rules in your natal chart, has to do with the hidden. It has to do with creativity. It has to do with things that maybe you may not be able to see just yet. So there may be some sort of, I feel like, negotiating maybe going on. We have this Aries energy, which is ruled by Mars. I feel like there's a lot of conversation about how things are going to roll out moving into the future. I feel like you might be starting something. Those of you who are starting some sort of new project, new job, new cycle within a current career, those are all very Aries energy, right? Aries energies. If you're not resonating with that, Aries energy also does when it comes to work. If we're not doing something that we feel really impassioned about and by, we could feel very stifled. And there's a huge push to actually move out of something. And because it's sitting here with the moon energy, the moon can indicate, oh, okay, well, I'm doing A, B, and C, but is that it? Feeling very, I'm not even going to say underwhelmed, but dissatisfied, feeling a little disappointed in what it is that you're doing, right? Feeling kind of emotional about your job. So there can be some sort of new approach, but you may not be totally clear on if the approach that you have in your mind is actually going to be able to be a workable thing, or you may be trying to figure out a different strategy on how to actually manifest it. What I feel like, though, right now in this, the mid-March energies are very much about like feeling like something is right there. Feeling something's right there. And because this full moon of Virgo in the 10th is harmonizing Pluto in the 2nd, and when I say harmonizing, I mean it's trining. It's like a beautiful aspect. So if you think about it, your career, and then the 2nd house, money that you make from the work that you do. But and On top of this, the sun is going to be conjunct Neptune and Pisces in your fourth house, which is all about feeling grounded, rooted, safe, secure. It's the deepest part of your house. It's the deepest part of your chart, rather. There's going to be a lot of focus there. There's going to be a lot of dreamy focus. So you really are allowing yourself to dream and go there. Just make sure you keep at least one foot on the ground. And I think that you are. I think you're in the process of negotiating. And the reason I'm saying that is we go into the 20th and the sun moves into Aries, which is the vernal equinox, which is, happy astrological new year. That's happening in your fifth house of creativity and entrepreneurial things, right? Entrepreneurial projects. So the sun is going to be transiting in your fifth, but the sun rules your ninth, which is your energy, right? And so it's really about this, a lot of negotiating that's going to be going on here. Because you have that Leo energy in the ninth house having to do with creativity. So I do feel like a lot of you are either going to be launching, advertising, marketing, negotiating, publishing, anything like that is definitely going in a better direction. I'm not saying it's going to be one and done in middle of March, because that's ridiculous. It doesn't work like that. But you're going to be making connections and you're going to be negotiating things that are going to set the ball rolling in a I want to say maybe in a expedited kind of fashion. Now we have Venus and Mars still conjunct in Aquarius, but squaring Uranus in Taurus between your third and your sixth house. So third house, Venus and Mars, communication, you're going to be very driven in your communications, and there's going to be some big change in your work environment, but you may be having a hard time, like literally squaring up, because it is a squaring up how something is supposed to actually roll out in the 3D. Right. And not a big deal, though, guys. I don't think this is a big deal. I feel like, Venus and Mars are unbelievably positive energies, and Uranus is actually quite positive in that Uranus shakes things up, allowing things to land in a way that's good for everyone. But it just might be a little tense as you guys are trying to negotiate and navigate some sort of change. And I feel like the change is primarily in the middle of March, primarily focused on the area of, I'm not even going to say career, money, some changes that you're looking to make in your life, whether it's within family, whatever. I think there are changes going on in your home. I think that is more about buying a home, selling a home, expanding your home, inviting somebody to live with you. Very beautiful, very positive energy that could be dreamy, but a little confusing right now. So you might not have it all figured out. It's okay, but it's going in a good direction. Okay. So let's get into the cards that we opened up for your career/money situation. So we have the Knight of Cups, very nice here in the recent past. So Knight of Cups is Aquarius and Pisces energy, dreaming about the future, thinking about the future, planning for the future, some sort of proposal coming in. Very nice energy. Now this is a very idealistic energy. That's the only one thing that I will say. So make sure if you met someone who's, yeah, I could do this and that for you. I'm going to make this connection and that connection. I'm going to take care of this for you. Oh yeah, definitely. You're going to come work here. And they're, talking the big talk. It's very easy. And don't beat yourself up if you're like in this space where it's like really cool, because they're very convincing, but you just want to make sure that they walk their talk. They may be totally on the up and up, but this could also be somebody who, maybe even in their mind's eye, they're idealizing a situation, and they may not even realize that maybe they might be over idealizing something. So I'm just saying, number one, keep your spidey senses turned way up. Don't drink the Kool-Aid straight out of the gate. And then also be optimistic, but be cautious, cautiously optimistic. You guys are such an optimistic energy anyway, but so we have the Knight of Wands is where you are right now. Of course you are. You're like, let's go. Let's make this change. Let's go forward. Scorpio and Sagittarius. So Scorpio is about transformation. Sagittarius has to do with that ninth house of publishing, advertising, marketing, launching, negotiating, and you're looking to make changes. So there's some sort of page turning energy here. So maybe you're negotiating with new people. Maybe you're bringing new people into the fold. Maybe you're negotiating some sort of contract. Maybe you're negotiating a settlement. You're negotiating the sale of a house. You're navigating something like that. But you're very fired up in your ambition. I really like this for you. And what's blocking you, it's not so much your psychological challenges here, but what's actually blocking you is the Seven of Cups. So the Venus, this is a Venus and Scorpio energy, and this is about choices. This is about a little bit of confusion, commitment issue. So you want to be careful here because it feels like you're going to be having a lot of offers, or at least, let me correct myself, different ways of looking at things, different strategies that are available to you, and you being rather confused and having a hard time committing to one thing. And I always say, Sagittarius, you guys are brilliant. You guys are, you're the high-minded ones of the zodiac. You're the philosophers. But your shadow manifestation is that you ask everyone for their opinion and then end up doing your own thing. But you're always still to the very end. You do. Then this I'm talking about for the archetype of Sagittarius now. There is this ultimate, at the end of the day, questioning of self. And that's why it's like you never feel like you have enough information to make an informed decision. And so in this, I'm telling you to trust your gut. Sometimes we just have to do that. And so trust your gut. Keep those spidey senses on, listen to people, but again, listen to, ultimately, and just ultimately pay attention to your intuition here. We have the Six of Wands, which is informing the Queen of Wands in reverse. So why don't we talk about this first? Let's talk about the Queen of Wands in reverse. This is somebody who's cold, who can be rather aggressive. This can be, if it's a person, it could be somebody who's rather apathetic to a situation, who's just like, oh, whatever. I don't even care anymore. I just give up. So you might be that. In other words, you might, after having a conversation, because let's remember, you have Venus and Mars conjunct, squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 6th house. So this could be some sort of conversations having to do with the pragmatics of how something is going to be rolling out. And Six of Wands is having that conversation. This is you knowing you deserve success. You've been struggling lately to try to get that thing out there, to try to settle that thing, to try to square that thing up. Okay, fine. So you're all about it. This is a Jupiter and Leo energy. You're ready to, Jupiter's about expansion. Leo's about creativity. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about, putting your flavor on a particular project or on a particular something, whatever it is, your ideas, your stamp. You're all about it. And I feel like you're kind of in the mind of where it's like, you know what, if this doesn't work at this point, the hell with it, I'm not doing it anymore. Or if they're not willing to, grant me particular concessions, I don't even think I want to continue anymore. Because the Queen of Wands in the upright is very, fired, a very stepping into the power kind of thing, right? It's a Pisces and Aries energy. It's like really excited for this moving forward. And here it's like, look, if I'm not getting what I not deserve, I'm not even getting, because that sounds very like you putting yourself on a pedestal. I'm not getting that energy at all. It's like you having certain conditions that you need in order that you need. And if they're not met, you're just like, the hell with it. I really don't think that I want to deal with it. Now, the advice is the Devil in reverse. I love this because what the advice here is? It's not as bad as it seems. It's not as bad as it seems. It's not as bad as you thought. This is far more positive than the upright. Any sort of restrictions that you're dealing with are going to be dealt with a lot more easily. Trust that. Trust that. Something's going to become very clear. Where you're going to be like, oh, okay. All right. It's not as bad as I thought. Okay. So then we have external to you is the Hermit energy. So this could be a couple of things. You might be dealing with a group of people who are kind of stepping back and looking at what's not working and realize that it's time to try a different approach. Or this could just be the energy that's surrounding you right now. You're like, you know what? I thought it was going to roll out like this, but as is being presented, it's not. So maybe this way is actually going to be better. It's problem solving because the Hermit is Virgo. Virgo is the landlord of the 6th house. The 6th house is where we go to when we solve problems, right? And in numerology, it's connected to the moon. So the moon is very much about our emotions, but it's also about, when it comes to career and money, it's about, all right, emotions are running a little high having to do with this right now. You feel like you need to protect yourself. You need to protect whatever it is that you're trying to roll out. You want more satisfaction than something in something than just the paycheck. You want to have your voice heard. You want to have satisfaction. It's not only about the money. Whatever's going on here, it's not only about the money. I feel like there's There's heart, right? You have skin in the game here, from an emotional point. So we have the Empress energy. As this is your psychological block. Psychological. This does not mean that it's really happening. And the Empress is Venus. So this could manifest a couple of different ways. You might not feel good about how something's rolling out here. That would be a blocked Venus. You might feel like the money's not there that you need in order to roll out. That would be a blocked Venus, or you feel like you can't expand. You're feeling this in your inner psychology. Meaning you're questioning the validity of something being able to be what you see in your mind's eye. And that's the thing. So you have to keep in mind, though, that's in your inner psychology, because you have very high standards. You're very wise, but you have high standards. Be open, be self-aware, keep the high standards, but understand that nothing's going to be perfect. So you have to figure out where are you going to allow the concessions so that you can create whatever is going on here to be solid and a firm foundation for you. Okay. Because this is a Cancer and Leo energy. So Cancer is, very much about feeling safe and secure, but Leo is about what you want. Leo is a very me-based energy. It's about your creative project, what you're putting in the game, your joy as well, But it's a good energy in that your freedom, you want to feel like you have a free spirit within some sort of realm. So in other words, if you're going into a situation, everybody's like, Sagittarius, this is the way it's got to be. This, and this. Oh man, you want to turn the Sagittarius off? Do that. That's not, maybe at one point in your life you will like that, Sag, but you're not about that right now. Right now, you really want to, I'm going to say expand your spirit, and that sounds very airy fairy, but like put like very much put your mark on something. Again, I don't feel money's great and you want the money. It's not about that, but it's about more than that, I guess. Let me just leave it there. It's for some of you, it's principle. For some of you, it's the sheer joy of something. For others of you, there's some sort of deeper meaning connected to whatever it is that you're trying to roll out here. So the final energy we have is the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is, to me, this tells me right away, straight up, making plans. Making plans, moving forward. This has to do with partnership. So you might be going into partnership with somebody, but you're gaining influence in work or in the project, in advancing in that investment, whatever is going on. But it's because of your approach to it. But you see, the Two of Wands means that there's two aspects to the situation. You have to figure out what's going to be best for you, what's going to either best maximize your skill set, give you the ultimate end goal that you're looking for. But there are two aspects to something. So there's going to be a little internal negotiating, which, when we opened the reading up, we talked about that. That's going to be going on in your astrology. But I feel like there's a lot of things are moving forward, Sagittarius. I do want to say that even if it doesn't feel like it entirely so right now for these 10 days, mid-March, okay? Even if it doesn't feel like it, things are definitely moving forward. So I do like that for you. All right, let's see what we have coming up for our friends who are in a committed relationship. You guys are together. Second house. Okay, so we have second house Capricorn and Pluto. So second house has to do with the money that you make or the money that you have, that your partner has, the money that, not that so much your blended resources, that's more eighth house, right? But, the money that you have, the money that your partner has, because this is for both of you. Capricorn has to do with long-term plans. And Pluto is all about change and transformation. Yeah, I really feel like something's happening here as far as, so those of you who are in a relationship, there's no question in my mind that you guys are talking about some sort of change that you're wanting to roll out. And I'm not going to say over the next few weeks. I mean, you're talking about change now that you'd like to roll out over the next year. And I'm not talking about, even though Capricorn's long-term plans, I'm feeling very strongly that it's that it's going to be rolling out over the next year. You're going to be talking about, it's the kind of thing where it's like, this is what we're going to do over the next year with the intention of, and the conversations about, but this is what we want to do over the next 10 years, something like that. That's very much what I'm feeling here. So let's see what we have as the crowning energy for you guys. We have the Eight of Swords. You guys might have been, you may be going through some challenges right now where you feel like things are just never going to be any different than they are right now. Feeling trapped. You guys might feel rather trapped. Again, this is the crowning energy for your relationship. So you might be stuck in some sort of cycle as a couple. That could be because of extenuating circumstances. Let's finish opening up the spread. Okay. And then we'll pull some advice. So yeah. So the Eight of Swords, I mean, the Eight of Swords energy is this is Jupiter and Gemini. You know, Jupiter's about expanding, and Jupiter expands whatever it's in. So when it's in Gemini, there's this idea of choices, right? Gemini is all about choices. Should we do this? Should we do that? But feeling like there being a couple of circumstances that are kind of flying around, right, within your energy as a couple. But for some reason, it's like always the same thing. You always feel like it always comes back to the same thing. So you're feeling very restricted in your relationship, very trapped, anxiety about something within the relationship. You might be feeling like that about the relationship, or you might be feeling that about a circumstance that's going on. Maybe something's going on with your kids or your finances, or some sort of opportunity that you guys are trying to roll out. But whatever it is, like that, it's almost like you guys feel trapped as a couple. And it might even be like you really want to do A, B, and C, you know, maybe get married, buy that house, you open that business, do whatever it is, but you feel very trapped, very limited by circumstances that are going on in your life right now. So for you, this side is for you, this side is for your partner. We have the Seven of Swords first, and then we have the Seven of Cups. We have double sevens here. Okay, so here, yeah, seems like there's some confusion about commitment here coming from you, Sag. You know, Seven of Swords is a Moon and Aquarius energy. So Moon is emotions. Aquarius is different than what I'm showing you. It's out of the box, right? It's different. I feel like, right, you see the mermaids in the water, and the water is emotions here. Swords are truth. So some swords are up, but look, they're like in their emotions. It's almost like you're thinking through your emotions here. But I do feel like you don't trust your partner. Or I feel a lot of confusion here. You feel a new cycle coming. 7 is a biblical number, doesn't cite a new cycle. But there's this idea of commitment issue, choices, things feeling up in the air. You're not being 100% sure where everything is at in the relationship. But 7 of Swords, Sag, is about dishonesty. So you may be saying certain things, but you may feel differently inside. And it might be because you haven't fully crystallized what it is that you're feeling, because you have the Seven of Cups, because you're confused, because things feel up in the air. You just want to be careful that you're not just saying things to say them in order to appease the situation. You want to be careful doing that. Okay. But because I feel like that might be going on, particularly if it has anything maybe to do with like money or connection within the relationship, because let's look at what your partner's getting. We have the Six of Pentacles, and Six of Pentacles has to do with property, family, inheritance, generosity, support. You know, this could have to do with, you know, money, either coming to your partner or going to you. And the reason I'm saying that is because the Six of Pentacles is an energy of reciprocity. It's an energy of reciprocity. And that's being clarified by the Justice energy. So I'm wondering if your partner isn't in a space where they're wondering if if things are equitable with you, are things fair? I feel like your partner's in a space where it's like, you know, Do they feel like there's fairness? Are their emotional needs being met in the relationship as far as connection goes? Are things being treated fairly regarding finances? And the thing is, they may be vibing that you might not be completely transparent with them. I have to say that. I mean, in the best case scenario, you haven't crystallized how you're feeling about things because things feel up in the air. It's not that you don't care about your partner. It's not it at all. It may not be it at all. It's just you're not sure where everything's going. So you're just saying what you need to say, but you may not even believe yourself as you're saying it. And they may be questioning you too underneath it all. Worst case scenario, you're being dishonest with your partner, where there could be selfishness involved here, or there can be, unhealthy boundaries, very focused on self. It depends on where you're at. So I want to give the different interpretations. So let's finish going through yours. So we got confusion here. So let's see what other messages we can get. Yeah, more confusion. Get the Hangman. Hangman is Neptune. So Neptune is always very confusing. You're not sure how you feel. You're not sure if you're going to end up martyring yourself. You may feel, if I continue going on this path in this relationship, in a way, you might even feel kind of like, and I know this sounds very dramatic, but victimized, compromising of what you really want. Some of you may be in that space. And that's being clarified by the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords is about recognizing that there's a clash between what it is that you desire and the reality that you're living. And that ongoing conflict is something that you're not going to win. You're not going to win. And again, it's like there's something going on in this relationship where you're not happy with the way life is, having to do with the relationship or having to do with the life that you guys have as a couple. And it's nothing that you can mitigate. You can't mitigate it. You can only control yourself. The reasoning behind why things are the way they are at least in your mind, really not your fault, And I say that only because these are always very subjective reads. But I see you being very confused. As you do, we have the Six of Cups energy. So this is interesting because the Six of Cups, some of you, I'm getting two things. The first impression is actually two things at the same time. So I want to say two things. So first one, this is Sun and Scorpio energy. But the first one is that somebody from the past may have reached out to you. You may be thinking about somebody from the past and thinking about getting back with them. But you're very confused about this because then we have the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is you being in an emotional stalemate. You need to make a decision. You want to protect yourself. You want to make the right choice. But you're sort of going back and forth. The other idea I have is that you want to take whatever situation you're in with your partner right now, and you want to figure out a way of finding balance. You want to find balance in the relationship. You really do. Especially if anybody suffered any mistreatment, you want to square that out, whether you did to them, them to you, whatever it is you want to. But we have this Two of Swords. Again, this Moon in Libra. You're just not sure. Moon is our emotions. Those change every couple of days. Libra, the most indecisive energy, it has to do with relationship. It's seventh house. It's that contractual relationship, and you want to protect yourself. You have to just say what you think, resolve it. A decision about the future is absolutely needed here, because by holding back and saying A, B, and C just to hold some sort of argument or some sort of conversation or some sort of situation at bay, that's only going to end up whipping around and biting you in the ass there. Do you know what I mean? So here's your partner, very sort of focused on what's fair. How do I feel? Are things okay in this relationship? And I don't feel like, look, it's the Six of Pentacles and the Judge and the Justice energy. They're just looking for truth and fairness. That's all I'm getting here. Okay. Now we have the Six of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. Okay. Six of Swords is about detachment. Three of Swords is embracing the reality and the truth of something. Queen of Pentacles is about having a very practical approach. This is a person who, Sagittarius and Capricorn, super reliable, very supportive, but it's just very much about thinking about the future in a very practical way, having to do with expectations. You know, I mean, this is the Hierophant energy. It's the marriage energy. It's a committed partnership. It's celebrating the sacred in relationship, but it really is about connection, commitment, expectations, conformity, emotional development. It does seem like your partner is about like the health of the relationship and there being fairness and trying to roll things out. But they may be feeling, because we're getting the Eight of Swords here, something is not rolling out in a way, because otherwise they wouldn't be wondering about this. And clearly you're feeling very confused about something at the same time. I almost feel like they're wondering about your priorities, if that makes sense. Let's pull some advice here down the center to see how, you know, what's the best strategy, right, for this particular situation going on here. Any extra information? 10 of Pentacles, Page of Swords, okay. 3 of Wands, beautiful. 10 of Swords. Mm-hmm. Temperance, yeah, okay. Clear advice messages, I'll say that. All right, so here we go. First up, 10 Pentacles. You got to think about the family. You got to think about everybody involved. This is a 10. This is thinking about family, the deepening of commitment, shared values, property, legacy, inheritance, shared money, shared, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a couple, be a couple kind of thing. Do you know? The Page of Swords is the personification of air. So it's all the air signs. So what is air? Air is Gemini, communication, Libra, relationship, Aquarius, the future. Page is new. So there have to be new conversations about how you guys are going to move forward in a committed way that is going to allow it to deepen the relationship. The 3 of Wands indicates, this is a very good card, guys. This is a Sun in Aries energy. This is one of the good fortune cards. This is an indicator for a wedding, important relationship, deepening the relationship, moving on to realize your plans, but doing something very unconventional, different than what you're doing now, okay? So this is what has to be discussed. Now, we have the 10 of Swords being clarified by the moon. So whether it's you, whether it's them, it doesn't matter, because this is a general reading. Someone feels like they've been treated very unfairly. Maybe you both do for different reasons, but this indicates an ending. Mercury and Virgo. The final release in something. It ends up releasing you from a time period of frustration, stress, pain, aggravation, all of that stuff. It's the end to a challenging time period. So now you're able to move forward in a lighter and a healthier way. And each sword is truth. So there might have been a lot of nasty arguments, terrible things that were said that maybe you both wish you hadn't said. You know, whether you meant it in the moment or not, it doesn't matter. you realizing, you know, in retrospect, well, that didn't serve my purpose. You know what I mean? And then we have that being clarified by the moon. So again, I mean, I feel like this is because this is all about disappointment and confusion, you know, feeling let down, feeling vulnerable, this kind of, I'm not sure what's going on. That's what you guys are ending. It's all about ending. That's what you guys have to end, right? This is the advice energy. You guys want to move forward smoothly. You have to stop the confusion. Figure out how to make that happen in your life through temperance. Now, this is the Hierophant in numerology, which has to do with committed partnership. It's marriage and or committed partnership. It doesn't matter. But this is about a new level of trust, cooperation after a difficult time period. Healing here. There's angelic guidance here. So that seems to be what needs to go down for those Sagittarius friends in the middle of March. For those of you who are coupled, I hope that gave you a seed to think about, a seed or two to think about. That's all I ever hope for. Okay, my friends, let's move on to those of you who are complicated. Complicated. Same style spread by Sagittarius friends. Maybe together, maybe not. You're living together and you feel miles apart. You haven't been together for a while, but you're still in each other's energy. 10. Saturn rules the 10th house. Sagittarius. So powerful energies I'm getting. They're very top of the chart energies here. Very top of the chart energies. Talking about long-term plans, Saturn. Feeling very restricted in your ability to move forward. There's a lot of restriction. Those of you in a complicated situation, you feel very restricted in your ability to move forward. It's interesting because those of you who are coupled got that 8 of Swords, which is feeling very restricted and trapped. So I'm wondering if this is not going to be an extended, like deeper dive into that read. Maybe. There's one that wants to be in the reverse. Okay, so we have King of Cups. There's a need to settle a conflict here. Okay, let's open up the spread and then we'll talk. And then we'll pull some advice. If you guys are to work it out, what would you need to do? Okay, so let's talk about this first. So the King of Cups. King of Cups, Libra and Scorpio. Libra's relationship, Scorpio's change. So obviously something needs to change. Scorpio is also the death card in tarot. And Libra's about justice, so there might be these conversations, are my emotional needs being met, or have things been fair? Maybe they haven't been, and that's why maybe some of you are in either a space of physical separation or mental separation, because you're feeling like something is just not equitable. And whatever that means to you, maybe it has to do with finances, maybe it has to do with, some of you might even be considering divorce or whatever it is, but there, it's like almost like there's a lot up in the air, right? So it's like you're in the process of this change, digging things up. So there's this need that exists to settle this conflict, each of you within yourselves as well as with each other. So what I do like here is the first card up for you is the 8 of Wands. You're all about it. You're like, yeah, let's sit down and have a conversation. This is great news about love, especially if you've been separated. But when you sit down to have that conversation, you are going to be entering the conversation from a space where it's almost twofold. On the one hand, you feel like you're fighting for the relationship, but then at the same time, you're defending yourself. Your morality and your personal philosophy is very, very important for you right now. You're feeling the obstacles, you're recognizing them, you want to talk about them. You want to talk about them. You're dealing with somebody who's very practical. Queen of Pentacles. They are, at the end of the day, you might not like very much who they are right now. It doesn't mean you don't love them. We don't have to like our partners all the time. But this is, this is a you and Capricorn energy. This is Sagittarius and Capricorn energy. So I feel like you're being very, very practical about the future. And the Ace of Cups is just, it's lovely. This is strong love and support. This is new beginnings. This is new beginnings. But I feel like you guys are kind of on like different pages here. You want to talk about something from a point of defending yourself, or at least defending what you want in the way you think something needs to roll out. And I feel like your partner's open to it, but it's like their bottom line is the future and just doing the right things for the future. But for you, the first card up down here is anxiety, not responding well to the external stress of whatever situation's going on here. This is a Mars and Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's very mental. It's like there's a war going on in your head where it's like, you might even it's that kind of like 3 a.m. energy, I call it, where it's, you wake up with these ruminating thoughts. What are we going to do about that? What are we going to do about that? because you're in a space of confusion, right? We have this negotiation energy here, Jupiter and Capricorn, needing to make a decision. Should I do this? Should we do that? What should we do? I don't know, right? You can feel a sense of lack in your life because of things being not in a good place in this relationship. And each pentacle represents a path that you could potentially take. And you're in the space of trying to figure out what the right thing is for you. But you do know one thing. You want to get away from the toxicity. This is a Mercury and Aquarius energy. You're thinking about the future and you want to move on. Now, it's a 6. It's a minor arcana, which means that this does not have to be a life-changing kind of thing. It's not like a tower kind of thing. This could simply be, even mentally, just wanting to sitting down and saying, I just don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with the toxicity anymore. I don't want to deal with the arguments. I just don't want to deal with that. So you can be detaching, taking a little time apart, even if you're sharing the same bed every day. You know what I mean? Just to do some internal work and figure out what it is that you want. And then we have the Lover's energy. Now, some of you may even be planning a trip to work on balancing out the relationship. Lover's energy is Gemini. And this is always about choice. Keep in mind, in numerology, the Lovers is the devil, which is all about imbalance. So in the Lovers card, we want to take that imbalance, which would be the clouds, and figure out how we can balance it together with the blessing of Archangel Raphael and the luminary of the sun. So we have everything we need. Archangel Raphael blesses us, and the sun gives us the tools we need in our toolbox to figure it out. But everyone's got to be on the same page. There's got to be this coming at the situation equally, meaning you have to both be equally willing. So let's see what's going on for your partner. We have Ace of Wands, we have the Judgment, we have the Justice, we have the Five of Pentacles. I feel like your partner is feeling very disconnected, that things haven't been fair. Things haven't been equitable in the relationship. They don't feel as connected as they would like to. Because when we have the Justice energy clarified by the Five of Pentacles, this is this idea of truth and balance, trying to be fair. This idea of from an objective point of view, looking at, at things and asking these questions, have things been fair? When it comes to intimacy, communication, money, resources, just the way life is being handled. They're looking at the balance and the fairness, and Five of Pentacles can make them feel, first of all, maybe challenged in their finances, at least a lack mentality, at least feeling that way, where they're fearing loss of security. But it could also just be like, just not feeling very connected, and then wondering how fair it is. Leading up to that, we have the Ace of Wands and the Judgment energy. So some of you may be dealing with a person who's just like, okay, I have to start this new chapter in my life. Ace, brand new. Some of you, I do want to say, the Ace of Cups can mean them meeting somebody new, the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands, because it makes sense to them, because they're not able to feel like they're in anything equitable with you. Some of you are going to resonate with it like that. Others of you, they're going to be all about starting this new cycle, as long as there's change. Because I feel like what they're not going to do is put up with whatever's been going on. Because, the Judgment energy is being clarified by the Justice. Judgment is about Pluto, assessing the relationship, reconciling certain circumstances that have been going on, forgiving everybody, forgiving each other for whatever, letting go of the past, whatever happened. But if we're going to work this out, we have to work it out in a way that's fair to everyone, in a way where there's more connection and more sharing. Because I almost feel like that they're feeling this energy of like alone, or right, like literally like left out in the cold kind of thing. Even though you may be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, woman. Subjectively, I do feel like that's what they're feeling. at least in their own mind. So let's see what can take care of this here. So it does seem like there's a lot of emotion here. There's a lot of feelings, a lot of love. Okay, Ten of Swords, the Tower, the Fool, Four of Pentacles, the Hierophant. Wow. Sag, I don't know, your messages are coming across very, very strong today. We have the Ten of Swords and the Tower and the Fool. I mean, what? So the Ten of Swords, of course, is an end to a difficult time period. It just says, like, let's just put a period at the end of that sentence. You know, arguments, crazy ass arguments, words being exchanged, you probably didn't even mean, they didn't mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's like missiles being shot at each other. It's like one sword at a time over time. Just a lot of unfair treatment, you know. And again, the unfair treatment, it can go both ways, because you could certainly feel like they weren't fair to you and then you were reacting to them, and they could say, well, I felt like you weren't being fair to me and I was reacting to you, and whatever. At the end of the day, who cares? Because what's the common denominator there is fear. So how can you rectify the fear? You have to work towards making each other feel more secure, you know, and that is a thing. And everybody feels that way who has a heartbeat, you know, unless they're in denial about something. So it does seem like this, there's got to be an end to a difficult time period. And when I say end, it's like there's like a double line being drawn under that statement with the Tower. Now, this is about destruction and enlightenment and a necessary surrender to recognizing that the way things have been going up to this point simply can't continue. And I'm not one of those people who believes that you get the Tower, it's all done, it's to hell in a handbasket, you're never retrieving it. I don't believe that. The Tower is Mars. Mars gives us a bunch of red flags. We typically ignore them because the human condition prefers comfort over discomfort until Mars is like, well, Sag, you're not paying attention. I have to take this down to the studs for you. And because it's not good for you in the way that it is. But then you have the choice to go in and rebuild it. You and your partner can go in and say, okay, the foundation of this tower is good. The tower itself, not so good. So let's agree to try to build this up together in a stronger way. Moving away from the toxicity. Chariot in numerology, the Tower is the Chariot. The Chariot in astrology is Cancer. It has to do with home. It has to do with safety and security. So you guys have to work together to rebuild that if you want to save this. There's literally has to be a shutting of the door from the past in as far as your fears, egos, all that bullshit that you can like totally avoid with open conversation. Because I definitely feel a very deep connection here. And a Fool, the Fool energy is about doing things differently than before, a new approach that speaks to security, that speaks to improving the relationship, that speaks to improving a firm foundation here. This is a Sun focus in Capricorn long term. What do you guys need to do to go the long term? Hierophant energy, marriage, committed partnership, expectations, conforming to those expectations, follow through, making promises and following through, being in it together. So there's got to be a little caution thrown into the wind here. There has to be this decision to not allow fear and ego to drive the underpinning of the relationship. Because I do feel like, Sag, I have to say, I feel like if you guys can't figure this out right now, I feel like this is going to be a relationship that you will both be sorry that you didn't work harder at ultimately, because there's a lot of very grounded energy here. There's a strong desire to want to work it out. We have all of these top of the chart energies here. You guys want to come together. But who knows? Maybe you had a lousy childhood. You had some crazy experiences in past relationships, whatever's driving whoever's insecurities and fears. We all have them, but this is about getting in front of them and being really open and loving and honest and vulnerable. Mhm. Yeah. So what I have for those of you in a complicated situation. See what's going on for those of you who are single. Single Sagittarius. Some of you are just like, leave me alone. I just want, just want to, I just want to focus on my money and my security. We have second house, Cancer and Jupiter. You just want to grow your money. Second house has to do with the money that you make from the work that you do, how you nurture yourself. So you're all about that. Jupiter expands whatever it's near. Cancer has to do with your home and security and your foundation. So I don't know, it feels like middle of March for whoever's resonating with it. You're tuning in just for like shits and giggles, but I feel like you're not all about, I have to be in a relationship now. We have the King of Cups being challenged by the Five of Wands. Okay. Yeah, Six of Swords in the recent past, you're just like, okay, anything that's toxic, I'm just going to get a rash from. So I have to just keep that out of my energy. Absolutely. You guys are just wanting to like do some work on yourself. Maybe you were in a relationship that was, a little messy, whatever it is. You really just want to do some internal work right now, coming into this energy. Detaching from life, basically, but not really. I mean, I feel like you focused on the other areas of life, but this particular area, you just focused on you. Does seem like right now coming in because you're settling something within yourself. This is Libra and Scorpio. So you're changing your perception. You're changing what it is that you even want in a relationship. So Libra's relationship and Scorpio is about change. Scorpio is also the death card. So some of you may be processing a past relationship that you were in and sort of going through the weeds and figuring out, what you want in a future relationship and what you don't want, what you want to throw out, where were the lessons and all of that. But in all of that, you're sort of trying to settle this conflict within yourself. And you might even need to settle a conflict with somebody else if there's still some lingering energy, because the block here is the Five of Wands. It does seem like some sort of conflict happen if you're dealing with another person. We could also have internal conflicts, which is showing up as your psychological block. But for those of you who are in a relationship, that argument that ended the relationship may still be lingering with you. Like you're single because you guys broke up, but that argument and how it rolled out is still hanging in your energy. And it's making you just want to focus on yourself and not even deal with other relationships. Others of you, if you're not dealing with that, this could be internal conflict. This is Saturn in Leo. Leo is very me-based energy. It's focused on what you want. And as far as like love affair, falling in love, romance, all of that, all of that stuff. But it does have that Saturn energy in there. So there's this energy of restriction, of delay, but there's this call to reassess your liabilities and assets in what you bring into a relationship, as well as what it is that you want in a relationship. So I feel like you're in this energy of just squaring out what feels right to you, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. We have the Three of Wands informing the Page of Pentacles. So the Three of Wands is the Sun and Aries energy. Actually, this is a good fortune card. This is somebody who's like kind of beckoning you forth, somebody who's very different. Some of you may be realizing that you go after a particular type of person and you're like, you know what, I really need to make a different kind of connection. It doesn't make sense for me to keep going after this type of person. Maybe you have that type. And now with the Three of Wands, you're stepping out of that type. Maybe you're going, after people for different reasons, or meeting somebody who's very different than, maybe they're a different ethnicity, or maybe they're from, foreign land, or there's just something different. Or maybe you're just going after something different where you're not making it so much about their looks. Maybe you're making it more on character or whatever the case. but I feel like it's almost like you're saying to yourself, it doesn't make sense for me to keep doing what I did, because, and it's like this very sort of logical follow through where it's like, I'm going to keep getting what I got if I keep doing what I did. So obviously I have to do things different, but you might not be totally clear on what that is. So you may be just wanting to focus on other areas in your life right now while you figure out what it is. The advice here is be practical. Which is what you're being here, right? The Queen of Coins, take care of your body, take care of your mind, your finances, take care of you, do you, be very second house, very Cancer energy, right? Focus on your security and all of that. You're being surrounded by the moon. You have a basic disappointment in the realm of relationship right now, but I feel like I don't feel like it's like apathetic. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like it's I don't care about relationship. It's more about, because in numerology, this is the Hermit. I feel like connecting it to the Hermit energy, I feel like it's you looking at all of the cycles in past relationships and trying to recognize the common denominator in what went south in each of those circumstances, just so that you don't repeat that situation again in the future. You know, I feel like there's a lot of reflection. Yeah, I mean, right now your block is meeting somebody new, starting a new cycle. This is your psychological block. In the near future, we have the Hangman. So you were just really not sure. This is a Neptune energy. You're not sure. You don't want to sacrifice yourself. It's like, I feel like some of you are saying getting into a relationship equates to needing to sacrifice part of my happiness. This is not an uncommon thing for Sagittarius archetype to feel, nor is it an uncommon thing for a Gemini energy to feel. You guys work together, you're ascendant and descendant. Your axis, and I'm sorry to say that, I'm saying this as a Gemini sun, our axis is the most divorced. It is. It is, you know, give it a hey ho if you've been married at least once out there, right? I mean, or a lot of times it shows up with Sagittarius is, you know, having a really hard time finding anybody to marry in the first place, you know, and it's because it's this idea of, you know, you require very much like a Renaissance energy. You want to be attracted to the person. They have to be smart. They have, you know, you would really like somebody to travel with you and explore the world, even if it's just your town, or, you know, it doesn't have to be anything oh so glamorous, but, you know, just to kind of knock around life together, but somebody who's also very willing and secure enough to give you the much needed time alone that you need, so that you could think and you could philosophize and you could negotiate and you could follow your belief system and do whatever it is that you want to do in your own time. So it's very difficult to be in a very enmeshed relationship of any kind, right? There's got to be this independence and this interdependence. And sometimes it's not so easy to find, you know, it's really not so easy to find. It really is only like certain signs would jive with that energy. You know what I mean? So there is some lack of clarity. So some of you may be pressing the pause button on the whole jam right now because you're not totally clear. But the underpinning of that is like, I don't want to sacrifice my happiness kind of thing. You know what I mean? And then we have as the final outcome energy, the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, I just feel like you're just working on your coin. You're increasing prosperity, financial growth, or you're trying to figure out how to do that. Throwing yourself into work right now. It does seem like you're really doing that more than anything. Let's see what's rolling out for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel like, you know, the reason you're like this is because there was disappointment. You know, you were communicating with somebody, you got into a relationship, things were great, things were growing, and then you realize, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel right to me anymore. Sorry, I just banged my microphone if I just knocked your ear. The Eight of Cups is having the emotional intelligence to recognize something doesn't really feel right. Two of Wands is about moving forward. You might have met somebody new at work, or you might just be like, this isn't the right thing for me. I want to make plans. I want to move forward. There was confusion about it. It does seem like that. You're not sure. at this point, right? I'm talking about like what led up to all of this. There was confusion about how you felt about being in a relationship. You were in with somebody, but there was some sort of reality check that you were never going to have the actual foundation that you were looking for, that connection that you were looking for. So you've been disappointed in the past. So now I almost feel like you're pulling back in mid-March to regroup. Doesn't mean you can meet people, but I don't see you putting all your energy in mid-March into it by choice. I see it by choice. By choice. You might entertain a couple of energies, this, that, but I don't see you opening yourself up to really throwing yourself into an energy of deepening. I see you primarily focusing on yourself right now. I mean, this is only for the middle of March. So we'll see once the eclipse season comes, we'll see, single Sagittarius. But that is what I have for you guys for this middle of March. I hope this was helpful in some way. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.